Years passed. The world changed, not all at once, not perfectly, but it changed. Cities grew cleaner, nations talked more, people worked together like never before. And the stars, they were no longer just lights in the sky. They were home to others, to watchers, to those who had seen humanity at its worst, and now, at its best. In Texas, Clint Baker still sat in his backyard every night. His hair was whiter now, his eyes not as sharp, but he still looked up, still watched, still hoped. His son sat beside him one evening. "Do you think they'll come back?" the boy asked. Clint smiled. "Maybe," he said. "If we keep showing them we're worth knowing." Back in Washington, Dr. Lisa Monroe stood on a stage. She looked out at a crowd of scientists, students, teachers. Behind her was a screen. On it was a message. We were warned. Not by fear, but by truth. She began to speak. A long time ago, someone sent a message into space. It wasn't meant to invite aliens here. It was meant to stop them. It said, "Do not come here. We are not ready. You will not survive." The crowd listened. Some had been alive when it happened. Others had only read about it. But all knew what came next. "They heard us," Lisa said, "and they stayed away. But they left something behind. Not weapons, not war, just knowledge, and they trusted us to use it wisely." She paused. "Many thought we wouldn't. Many still think we can't. But look around. Clean air, new medicine, peace talks that didn't exist before, children learning about other worlds. Hope." She smiled. "We didn't earn trust all at once, but we earned it. And maybe, someday, they'll come back." Far beyond Mars, the Virex listened. Their ships had moved farther out. They no longer hid near Jupiter. They were near Saturn now, watching, waiting, learning. Veclor stood near the main screen. "They've kept going," he said. "Yes," said Kreltan. "They didn't stop." "They are different now," said Nivral, the old scientist. "Not perfect," said the scout commander, "but better." "Then should we return?" "Not yet," said the commander. "Not until they know who they are." "What do you mean?" "Until they no longer fear themselves. They are not ready." So they waited, but not in silence. They sent small signals, not to warn, not to scare, just to listen, to see if the changes would last. And on Earth, they did. Schools taught kids about space. Scientists built new tools from the gift. Leaders met without fighting. And for the first time in history, a group of people launched a message of their own. Not asking for help, not begging for peace. Just saying, "Thank you. We heard you. We tried. And we're still trying." It was broadcast into space. Simple, honest, human. In Texas, Clint watched the launch. He wiped a tear from his eye. "Maybe one day," he whispered. "We'll be ready." Far away, the Virex received the message. They played it over and over. "Thank you, and we heard you. We tried, and we're still trying." Veclor looked at the scout commander. "Should we answer?" "No," said the commander. "Not yet." "Then when?" "When they don't just try, when they succeed." So they stayed in the dark, watching, listening, hoping, and somewhere deep in space, they wondered, will humanity prove it's ready? Next time. Meanwhile, on Earth, life went on. Not perfect, not easy, but full of hope, because humans had done something rare. They had been warned. They had been given a chance, and they had tried. They had grown, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. For now, and someday, it might be enough for more. For contact, for friendship, for a place among the stars. As the night sky stretched wide and endless above them, humans looked up, not with fear, not with anger, but with wonder, and far away the Virex saw it, felt it, knew it. And for the first time in a long time, they smiled. The gift had changed things. Slowly, but surely, on Earth people were learning to use what was given. Doctors healed better. Farmers grew more food. Cities became cleaner. And for the first time in history, nations worked together without fighting. It wasn't perfect. Not everyone agreed. Some still tried to take control. Some still feared change. But more and more, people began to hope. In Texas, Clint Baker sat in his backyard like he always did. He looked up at the stars and smiled. "Maybe we're not so bad after all," he said. His wife sat beside him. "Maybe they'll come back." "Maybe," he said, "if we keep trying." Back in Washington, Dr. Lisa Monroe met with the Star Council again. They had been studying the gift for months now. Every day they found something new. Plans for machines that could clean the air. Ways to make energy without pollution. Ideas for space travel that could take humans beyond the moon. But one thing stood out more than the rest. A small file hidden deep inside. It wasn't labeled, no title, just a short message. Use this only when you have learned to trust yourselves. Underneath it was a set of instructions for something bigger, something powerful. But no one knew what it was for, or how to build it. Yet, Lisa read the message again and again. She showed it to the others. "This isn't just knowledge," she said. "It's a test." "Of what?" asked a scientist from Canada. "Of whether we can handle more." "Then maybe we shouldn't open it yet," said a man from Germany. "You're right," said Lisa. "We're not ready." So they locked it away, not in a vault, not in secret, just not used, not yet. Meanwhile, across the world, life kept changing. In Africa, children played with new tools made from alien tech. In Asia, doctors cured diseases once thought impossible. In Europe, cities powered themselves with clean energy. In South America, farmers grew food faster than ever before. And in North Korea, a young girl looked up at the sky. She had never seen a star so clearly before. Her teacher told her why. "Because the air is cleaner now," the teacher said. "Because people are trying," the girl smiled. "Did aliens help us?" "Yes," said the teacher, "but only because we helped ourselves." Far beyond Mars, the Virex watched. They had stayed longer than planned. They had seen war. They had seen fear, but now they saw hope. Veclor stood near the main screen. "They are different now," he said. "Not fully," said Kreltan, "but yes, they are changing." "Will they keep going?" asked Veclor. "Maybe," said the scout commander. "If they don't stop, then we should watch longer." "No," said Nivral, the old scientist. "We should listen. From far away." "Why?" "Because if we stay too close, they may think we want something." "And do we?" "Only one thing." "What?" "To know if they can be trusted." So the Virex moved farther out. They left their main ship near Jupiter. They sent smaller probes to keep watching. From a distance, without being seen, they wanted to see if the changes would last. If humanity would keep growing, or if they would fall. Back into old ways, back on Earth, the Star Council made a new rule. We will not rush and we will not hide and we will learn together. They shared more knowledge slowly, not all at once, not to everyone, only to those who used it wisely. And it worked. People began to believe in the future, not because someone told them to, but because they could see it happening. Children dreamed of space. Engineers built new tools, leaders talked instead of fought, and in Texas, Clint read about it all. He sent a message to Lisa. "Do you think they'll come back someday?" she replied. "I think they already did." Meanwhile, the gift still floated in orbit, silent, waiting, watching. Like the stars, like the past, like the future. And somewhere deep in space, the Virex listened. They heard the news. They saw the changes. They felt something they hadn't felt before. Not fear, not anger, not doubt, hope. "They warned us to flee," said Veclor. "Yes," said the scout commander, "and now they are showing us they can be better." "Then maybe," said Nivral, "we should come back." "Not now," said the commander. Not yet. When? When they no longer need to warn others. When they no longer fear themselves. So, they waited, watching, listening, hoping, and somewhere far away they wondered, will humanity prove it's ready? Next time. The gift had been opened, not by war, not by force, but by trust. Two young students from different worlds, Mexico and North Korea, had unlocked it together. They hadn't known what would happen. They had just believed in each other. And that was enough. Inside the object was more than anyone expected. Videos, maps, plans, ideas, knowledge that could change life on Earth forever. Scientists studied every file. They found cures for diseases that had no cure, ways to clean the air and water, machines that could build without pollution, ways to grow food faster and better. Peace talks that had never happened before were now possible. It wasn't magic, it was science, and it was real. In Texas, Clint Baker watched the news with wide eyes. He sat in his backyard again, looking up at the stars. You really did believe in us, he whispered. Back in Washington, Dr. Lisa Monroe met with world leaders. They didn't all agree. Some wanted to keep the knowledge secret, others wanted to sell it. A few even said it was too much, too fast. We can't rush this, said a leader from Germany. If we don't use it wisely, we could destroy ourselves, and then let's learn how, said Lisa. Together, so they formed a new group, not military, not political, just scientists, teachers, doctors, engineers, people who wanted to help. They called it the Star Council. Their job, study the gift, share its secrets slowly, make sure humanity didn't make the same mistakes again. Meanwhile, online people talked. Some believed the gift was proof that aliens loved humans. Others thought it was a trick. A few warned that if humans got too powerful too fast, things could go wrong. In Africa, a teacher used the new farming ideas to grow food in places where nothing had grown before. In Asia, doctors tested new medicines and saved lives. In Europe, cities started cleaning their air using alien tech. In South America, schools taught kids about space like never before, and in Texas, Clint read every report he could find. He smiled. We're changing, he told his wife. Slowly, but we're changing. Far beyond Mars, the Virex watched. On board their ship, Veclor stood near a screen filled with data. They are using the gift, he said. Carefully, said Kreltan. Not perfectly, but carefully. They are learning, said the scout commander. Do you think they'll keep going? Asked Veclor. Maybe, said the commander, but they still have fear. Fear of what? Of themselves. He was right. Even as good things happened, bad things still followed. Some governments tried to take control of the gift's secrets. Some groups tried to stop the changes. Some people were scared of what came next. This isn't ours. One man shouted on TV. We shouldn't use it. But it was given to us, said another. Why would they give it if they didn't want us to use it? No one had the answer. But the Virex did. They had left the gift not because they wanted to change humans. They had left it because they hoped humans would change themselves. That is the only way, said Nivral, the old scientist. Change must come from within. Then we wait, said Veclor. Yes, said the commander, and we watch. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Star Council made a choice. They would share the knowledge bit by bit, not all at once, not to everyone, only to those ready. They started with small steps, cleaning water, making medicine, building better, homes, and teaching children, because the future they knew belonged to them. One school in India began showing students how to use the new tools. A child asked, "Where did this come from?" A teacher answered, "From someone who believed we could be better." "Will they come back?" the child asked. "Maybe," said the teacher. "If we show them we're worth knowing." In Texas, Clint read that story and smiled. He looked up at the sky again. "Show them," he whispered. Far away. The Virex listened. They saw the changes. They saw the hope. They saw the fear, and they saw something else. Something they had not seen before. Children drawing pictures of stars, people building telescopes in poor towns, nations talking instead of fighting. "They are trying," said Veclor. "Yes," said the scout commander, "but trying is not the same as being ready." "Then when will they be ready? When they no longer fear each other?" "And when will that happen?" The commander looked at the screen, at the planet below, at the lights growing brighter. "Maybe, not today," he said. "Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe someday." So they stayed, watching, waiting, hoping for the day when humanity would look up and not feel fear, but wonder and welcome. The object stayed in orbit, silent and still. It did not move on its own. It did not send signals. It just waited. Scientists tried to study it. Governments tried to control it. Military groups tried to break into it. But nothing worked. It was like a stone dropped from the sky, too perfect, too smooth, too strange. In Texas, Clint Baker watched the news every night. He saw interviews with experts, military briefings, and wild theories from people online. Some said it was a weapon. Others said it was a message. A few believed it was proof that aliens had visited before. Clint knew better. "They left this for us," he told his wife over dinner. She looked at him and smiled. "You really think so?" "Yes," he said. "They didn't come to fight. They came to learn. And now they've given us something." "What if it's dangerous?" she asked. He shook his head. "Then they wouldn't have left it." Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Monroe sat in a small room inside a NASA base. She stared at a screen filled with data. Satellites had scanned the object hundreds of times. No heat, no power source, no movement, just presence. "It's not active," she said to her team, "but that doesn't mean it's empty." One of the younger scientists looked up. "Maybe it's locked." "Locked how?" asked another. "Like a vault," said Lisa. "Not sealed by force, but by design." They all thought about that. If it was locked, then maybe it could be opened. But how? Back in Washington, the United Nations held another emergency meeting. Leaders from many countries were there. Some wanted to destroy the object. "We don't know what's inside," said one leader. "It could be a trap." Others wanted to keep it hidden. "If we tell the world, panic will spread," said a general. "We should wait." Only a few wanted to try opening it. "They didn't come to hurt us," said a scientist from France. "Why would they leave something dangerous in our orbit?" "Because they're testing us," said a woman from South Africa. "Maybe this is a test." "Of what?" asked someone else. "Of whether we can work together." The room fell silent. Then, the U.S. representative spoke. "We'll form a team. International. No one country controls it. We try to open it together." So they did. Scientists from America, Russia, China, India, Brazil, Germany, Japan, and more joined forces. They sent the best minds to study the object. Weeks passed, then months. They found one thing. A small panel on the surface. It looked like a touchpad, but when they touched it, nothing happened. "It's not a keypad," said a young engineer from Canada. "It doesn't read fingerprints, it doesn't respond to voice." "Then what does it need?" asked Lisa. "Something else," he said. They kept trying. Meanwhile, life on Earth went on. People stopped looking up as much. The panic faded, the fear turned into curiosity. Some even forgot the object was there. But not everyone. In Texas, Clint kept watching. In Washington, Lisa kept working. And far away beyond Mars, the Virex kept listening. They had left the gift behind, but they hadn't gone far. Their ship floated silently in the dark, scanning for any sign that humans had changed. Had they learned anything? Had they grown? Had they become ready? The answer came slowly, not with war, not with fear, but with cooperation. For the first time in history, countries worked together without arguing. They shared knowledge. They trusted each other. They tried to solve a mystery, Not for power, but for understanding. On board the Virex ship, Veclor watched the reports. They are working together, he said. That's good, said Krelton. Yes, said Veclor. But is it enough? Not yet, said the scout commander. But it's a start. Back on Earth, the team made a discovery. The panel wasn't just a lock. It was a test. To open it, 2 people had to press their hands to it at the same time. But not just anyone. The system responded to emotions, trust, hope, calm, not fear, not greed, not hate. This isn't just technology, said Lisa. It's psychology. They want us to prove something, said the Canadian engineer. Prove what? Asked someone else. That we can trust each other. So they tried. 2 scientists, one from the US, one from Russia, stepped forward. They placed their hands on the panel. Nothing happened. Next, a man from India and a woman from Nigeria. Still nothing. More pairs tried. Again and again. Failure after failure. Until finally, 2 young students from different countries stepped up, one from Mexico, one from North Korea. They looked at each other, smiled, placed their hands on the panel, and the object lit up. Soft light filled the screen. The door opened. Inside was not gold, not weapons, not treasure, knowledge, pages of it, videos, maps of stars, plans for machines that healed instead of hurt, ideas for peace, ways to live longer, ways to build better, ways to change. Everyone stared. Lisa whispered, "They believed we could grow." Clint, watching from home, said, "Maybe we can." Far away, the Virex listened. "They passed the test," said Veclor. "Not fully," said the scout commander, "but they took a step." "Then what do we do?" asked Krelton. "We watch," said the commander, "and we hope." So they stayed in the dark, watching, waiting, learning, and somewhere deep in space they wondered, when we return, will humanity be ready? The scout ship left Earth's skies, but it didn't go far. It returned to the Virex command vessel, waiting silently beyond Mars. The crew stepped off the small craft with heavy thoughts and quiet voices. They had seen much, heard more, and now they had a choice to make. Inside the main ship, the command council gathered. They were not soldiers, not kings or queens, just thinkers, watchers, scientists. Their job was to study, not to conquer. "What did you find?" asked the head analyst. "We were warned," said the scout commander. "Again?" asked another. "Yes," said Veclor, who had flown the mission. "Twice. Once by accident, once on purpose." There was silence. Then the head analyst spoke again. "Then we must ask ourselves, why would a species warn others away?" No one answered at first. Finally, Krelton said, "Because they know what they are." "And what are they?" asked the head analyst. "Dangerous," said Veclor, "but not just to others, to themselves." More silence. Then the scout commander stepped forward. "They build great things, cities that touch the sky, machines that think, weapons that can end life in seconds." He paused. "But they do not control these things well. They fight each other," said Veclor. "Not because they must, but because they do not trust." "So what do we do?" asked the head analyst. "Do we leave them alone? Or do we watch longer?" The room filled with debate. Some said yes, leave them. They are not ready. Others said no. Study them more. Learn why they act this way. A few even suggested sending help. But in the end, one idea stood out. "Let us send something," down said an old scientist named Nivral. "Not people, not ships, just knowledge." "What kind?" asked the scout commander. "Something that may help them, if they are ever ready." So they began to build it. It was not a weapon, not a message, not even a gift. It was a test. A large object shaped like a smooth stone, made of metal that could not be broken. Inside, it held all the knowledge the Virex had gathered over thousands of years. Science, peace, medicine, art. But it would not open easily. To unlock it, humans would have to prove something, that they could work together, that they could trust each other, that they were no longer afraid of themselves. When it was done, the Virex launched it toward Earth, not fast, not loud, just a slow fall through space. Meanwhile, on Earth, the world was still watching the sky. In Texas, Clint Baker sat in his backyard, eyes tired but alert. He had been tracking strange signals. For days, something was coming. He sent a message to Dr. Lisa Monroe. "Something's out there, moving slow. Getting closer," she replied quickly. "We see it too. Not sure what it is." Government scrambled. NASA checked satellites. The military watched the skies. And then one night it appeared, a dark shape in orbit, silent and unmoving. Not a satellite. Not a rock. Something else. "It's not ours," said a scientist in California. "Then whose is it?" asked a reporter. "Maybe," he whispered. "It's theirs." Back in space, the Virex watched as the humans found the object. "Will they open it?" asked Krelton. "Not yet," said Veclor. "Why not?" "Because they are not ready." "Then, why send it at all?" "Because one day," said the scout commander, "they might be." On Earth, teams from many countries worked together to reach the object. They sent probes. They tried scanning it. Nothing worked. It gave no signal. No sound. No sign of life. Just waited. Weeks passed. Rumors spread. Some said it was a bomb. Others said it was a map. A few believed it was a trap, but Clint knew better. He stared at the sky and whispered, "It's a gift." Dr. Monroe agreed. "They didn't come to hurt us," she told reporters. "They came to understand us." "Then why leave?" "This?" someone asked. "Because maybe," she said, "they believe we can change." Back in space, the Virex prepared to leave. "Should we stay longer?" asked Veclor. "No," said the scout commander. "We've done what we came to do." "And what was that?" "Watch. Learn. Hope." Hope, a word not often used among the Virex. But now it felt right. As their ship turned away, leaving the blue planet behind, one final thought echoed through the halls. Humans are dangerous. But they warned us. And that means something. So, they left. Not in fear, not in anger, but in hope. That one day, when the time was right, they would return. And maybe then humanity would be ready. For now, the skies stayed empty, but not silent. Somewhere above, the gift floated, waiting, watching, like the stars, like the past, like the future, and deep down, on the tiny blue world below, some people looked up and wondered, not if they were alone, but if they could become better, if they could earn the right to be trusted. The scout ship drifted above Earth, damaged but still flying. Its systems were blinking red in some places, green in others. The crew inside worked fast, fixing what they could, hiding where they must. They had been seen. They had been shot at, and now they needed to learn more. "We stay hidden," said the commander, "but we watch closer." So they did. They flew lower, just above the clouds, moving between continents like a whisper on the wind. They scanned cities, military bases, even small towns. They watched how humans lived, how they built things, how they fought, how they laughed and cried. From space, the Virex command ship listened and waited. Back on Earth, the world was waking up. In Texas, Clint Baker couldn't sleep. He kept checking his telescope, looking for signs. He sent messages to Dr. Lisa Monroe, who was still stuck in Washington, trying to make sense of everything. The governments were confused. Some wanted to hide the truth. Others wanted to fight. A few wanted to talk, but no one knew what to say. Then came the broadcast. It started with static, then a voice. "This is Project Beacon. We are not a government group. We are scientists, thinkers, people who care about the future." People all over the world stopped what they were doing and listened. "We know you're out there. We don't mean to hurt you. But you need to understand something before you come here." The message played again and again on every channel that could pick it up. We are not ready for you. You will not survive if you land here. Do not come. It wasn't meant to scare anyone. It was meant to tell the truth. Project Beacon had made a mistake before. They had sent a test signal by accident. This time they meant it. They believed that if aliens ever landed, they would be attacked. Not because of orders from leaders, but because of fear. Because humans were scared of anything different. Because humans had always fought first and asked questions later. Some people online called them cowards. Others said they were heroes. But the Virex? They listened. On board the scout ship, the crew replayed the message. They do not want us here, said Kreltan. No, said Veclor. They want us to understand. Understand what? Asked the pilot. That they are dangerous, said the commander. Even to themselves. Meanwhile, back on Earth, panic was growing. Governments tried to shut down the internet. They tried to stop the message from spreading. But it was too late. Everyone knew. In Alaska, a fisherman saw lights in the sky and took a video. It went viral in minutes. In New York, people gathered in parks, staring up at the stars. In Africa, a teacher told her students, if they are real, maybe they can teach us how to be better. In Russia, soldiers were put on high alert. In China, scientists worked day and night to find proof. And in Texas, Clint sat alone in his backyard watching the stars. He whispered, I hope you're listening. And someone was. Far above, the scout ship hovered silently. Its crew had finished repairs. They had gathered enough data. Now they had to decide. Should they go deeper? Should they land or should they leave? They warned us, said Veclor. Not just once, but twice. They are afraid, said Kreltan. No, said the commander. They are honest. A pause. Then we must answer, said the pilot. How? Asked Veclor. Not with weapons, said the commander, not with war. Then what? With understanding, so they sent a message of their own. Not loud, not clear, just a short burst of energy, aimed at the planet below. It hit several satellites. Some picked it up, most didn't, but a few smart people noticed. Clint stared at his computer screen. He saw strange numbers appear. He copied them. He ran them through a code breaker. After hours of work, he found something. A reply. Not in words, in music. Soft tones filled his speakers, strange, beautiful notes that sounded like nothing human. He smiled. They heard us, he whispered. Back in Washington, Dr. Lisa Monroe got the same message. She looked at the notes, the sounds, the patterns. They answered, she said in the sky. The scout ship turned away. It would not land. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it had learned something. Humans were dangerous. Yes, but they also warned others. They told the truth. And that, the Virex thought, might be the most important thing of all, so they left, for now. Watching, waiting. Still trying to understand the strange beings below. Beings who had warned them to flee. Beings who might not be ready for visitors, but who might one day be worth knowing. The message had gone out. Do not come here. We are not ready. You will not survive. It was meant to be a test. A dry run by Project Beacon. A small group of scientists, hackers, and dreamers who believed that if aliens ever came, they should know the truth about humanity before landing. But now, the message was flying through space at the speed of light, and someone had heard it. Far beyond Neptune, the Virex watched their screens light up with the strange signal. For hours they studied it, replayed it, tried to understand it. This is not like other species, said Kreltan, looking at the repeating text. They do not invite us. They warn us. Maybe they are afraid, said Veclor. No, said the commander. They are telling us something else. Back on Earth, life continued as usual for most people. The sun rose and set, cars drove, planes flew, people worked, laughed, argued, and slept. But some knew the truth. Clint Baker sat in his backyard again. staring through his telescope. He didn't see anything new, but he felt like something had changed. Dr. Lisa Monroe had been called into a secret meeting in Washington. She was tired, nervous, and unsure what to say. The government wanted answers, but she had none. Project Beacon's members were in hiding. They hadn't planned to send the message so soon. They had only meant to check the system. But when the signal went live, it reached every satellite, every antenna, every listening post in orbit. And then, silence. They waited. For days, nothing happened. Then, something did. In Alaska, a military base picked up strange readings in the upper atmosphere, brief flashes of light moving faster than any known aircraft. In Australia, an astronomer saw a glowing object hover over the ocean for several minutes before vanishing. In China, a weather balloon recorded a sudden temperature drop, followed by a burst of energy that lasted less than a second. People began to talk. Online forums exploded with theories. Some said it was NASA testing new tech. Others claimed it was UFO sightings going mainstream. But one thing became clear. Something was watching back. The United Nations held another emergency meeting. This time, they didn't argue about whether aliens existed. They argued about what to do next. Some countries wanted to send more messages. Others wanted to build weapons. A few suggested doing nothing at all. Meanwhile, Clint received a message from an unknown number. It only said, "Thank you." He stared at the screen. Who would thank him? Was someone else out there? On board the Virex ship, the command crew gathered for a final decision. They sent a warning, said Veclor. Not just once, but twice. Once by accident, said Kreltan, and once on purpose. They know what they are, said the commander, and they fear themselves. A pause filled the room. Then we must decide, said the commander. Do we go closer, or do we leave? If we go down, said Kreltan, we may not return. Then, we send only a few, said Veclor. Just enough to learn. So they chose. A small scout ship detached from the main vessel. It was sleek, silent, and fast. It moved through space like a shadow, unseen and unheard. Its mission, enter Earth's orbit, scan the planet, and report back. They would not land. Not yet. Just watch. Just listen. As the scout ship passed Mars, it deployed tiny probes, each no bigger than a human hand. They spread out, hiding in orbit, sending data back to the mothership. They watched cities, military bases, airports, and even schools. They saw how humans lived, how they fought, how they built things, then destroyed them. They are not ready, said one analyst on the Virex ship. No, said another. But they know it. Then, disaster struck. Over Siberia, a Russian defense station detected something unusual in the sky. It moved too fast. It disappeared and reappeared. Thinking it was a foreign spy drone, the commander gave the order. A powerful laser beam shot into the sky. It hit its target. The scout ship shuddered, damaged, but still functional. Alarms blared. Systems flickered. The crew inside panicked. We have been seen, said one. We have been attacked, said another. Should we respond? Asked the pilot. The commander of the scout ship looked at the screen. Below them, the humans scrambled. Fighter jets launched. Radars searched. News channels reported strange lights in the sky. No, said the commander. We do not fight. Then what do we do? Asked the pilot. We go deeper, said the commander. We learn more. Meanwhile, on Earth, everything was changing. People were scared. People were excited. People were confused. Governments denied everything, but the footage was already online. In Texas, Clint stared at his computer screen. He read the headlines. Strange. Lights above Alaska. Military activity near Siberia. Something is watching us. He leaned back in his chair and whispered, They're really here. And somewhere far away, high above the clouds, the Virex listened, watching, waiting, trying to understand the strange beings below. Beings who warned them to stay away. Beings who might be more dangerous than any enemy they had ever known. The stars had always been there, watching silently as the tiny blue world spun in the dark. For most of its history, Earth was alone. But that was about to change. Deep in space, far beyond the edge of the solar system, a small metal object drifted. It was old, decades old, and carried with it a message from humanity. It wasn't meant to be dangerous or threatening. It was supposed to say hello. Inside the probe were pictures, sounds, and stories from Earth. It showed oceans, forests, animals, people laughing, cities full of lights. It also showed war, fire, broken buildings, and weapons so powerful they could destroy whole cities with one blast. The probe floated on, silent and unnoticed, until something found it. It was not human. They called themselves the Virex. They were explorers, scientists, watchers. Their ship was sleek and silver, moving through space like a shadow. They had seen many worlds, met many species, and studied them all. Some were peaceful, some were violent. None had ever surprised them, until now. When the Virex picked up the probe, they didn't know what to think. They opened it carefully, scanning every file, translating every word. They saw everything: human joy, human pain, human power. "These beings are strange," said Krelton, one of the lead analysts. "They build beautiful things, and then destroy them." "They warn us," said Veclor, another crew member. "Look at this part again." On the screen played a short video. A man in a suit stood in front of a flag and said, "We come in peace." Behind him others waved, but just minutes later, another clip showed tanks rolling into a city, planes, dropping bombs, people running and screaming. "This species knows what it is," said Veclor. "They are not hiding who they are." "Then why send this?" asked Krelton. "Why show both sides?" No one had an answer. After weeks of study, the Virex made a decision. They would watch Earth more closely, not to attack, not yet, just to understand. They sent a small team to the edge of the solar system near Neptune, where they could observe without being seen. From there, they watched the humans below. They saw how people lived in big groups called countries. They saw how those groups fought each other over land, money, and ideas. They saw how some tried to help, while others only wanted power. "They are smart," said one observer, "but they don't trust each other." "They have great knowledge," said another, "but little control." Meanwhile, on Earth, no one knew they were being watched. In a small town in Texas, a man named Clint Baker sat in his backyard with his telescope. He was older, with gray hair and tired eyes. He used to fix cars for a living, but now he looked at the stars. He loved the night sky. One night he noticed something strange near Neptune. It moved slowly, then vanished. He thought it was a mistake, but the next night it was back. He took notes. He took photos. He sent them to a scientist he once met at a conference, Dr. Lisa Monroe. She worked at a university and studied space for a living. At first she ignored his message. She thought it was another wild idea from someone who spent too much time looking up. But Clint kept sending more data. Soon, others started seeing the same thing. Online forums lit up with talk of strange lights in space. Some called it aliens, some called it a hoax. The government started asking questions. The United Nations held a secret meeting. Leaders from different countries gathered. They discussed what to do if there really was something out there. Some wanted to send a message. Others wanted to hide. A few even talked about preparing for war. Before any decision could be made, something unexpected happened. A signal went out. It wasn't from the government. It wasn't from any country. It came from a small group of civilians who called themselves Project Beacon. They believed in making contact and telling the truth even if it scared people. Their message was simple: do not come here. We are not ready. You will not survive. It was supposed to be a test, a dry run. But a mistake in the system sent it live, across the solar system, and the Virex received it. They stared at the message in silence. "They warned us," said Veclor. "Why?" asked Krelton. "Because they know what they are." For the first time, the Virex felt something unfamiliar. Not fear, curiosity. They had seen many species reach for the stars. Some were peaceful, some were cruel. But never before had a species warned others away. Never before had a species admitted its own danger. "We must learn more," said the commander of the Virex ship. "Yes," said Veclor, "but carefully." So they stayed in the dark, watching, waiting, and wondering if the humans were trying to save them or warn them.